Dang, that's awesome, man. All right. Good evening, everybody. It is 9 o'clock, so we'll get things rolling here. Let me just make sure everything is sounding just fine. Yeah, we're good on social media, so it seems. Other than that, so we can just get to boogie woogieing. If you have any questions, comments, ticker request, of course, you are more than welcome to ask away, and we will definitely be sure to go over those. But welcome. If you're on social media, I'm Fuzz, Brian Farr. I am the lead equities analyst here for Stock Dads. This is Sunday night prep. And tonight, what we like to do is just kind of do a quick rundown of the overall market, maybe do a little bit of a recap of what happened last week, and then kind of progress from there. And then, of course, we'll take a look at to any kind of tickers that I'm personally watching. I'll give you my key levels to watch for the week, and we'll just kind of go from there. But yeah, it's been about 2 weeks since we've done this because of the holidays. So I hope everybody had a good Christmas, a good New Year's, and everybody's happy and healthy and enjoying life. But yeah, we're off to a pretty interesting start here for 2023. No doubt, it's going to be a busy week. This week we got a lot of things to cover day in and day out. Starting with Monday, we have consumer inflation expectations. We also have presenting at the Needham Growth Conference. That's at 12:45 because why not? So maybe we can watch DocuSign there during the midday session, see if anything comes from that. We also have Teladoc, who is going to be at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. On Tuesday, we have Bed Bath and Beyond earnings. That's always fun because they've already said that they may possibly file for bankruptcy, and BBBY may be heading to the OTC pink slips. So that could be something to pay attention to. I'm personally not involved in it. We'll just sit on the sidelines as far as that goes. Don't get stuck in a position you don't need to be in there. We got wholesale inventories, and we have Powell speaking on Tuesday. Powell speaks at about 9 in the morning, so it'll be a pre-market situation as far as I'm aware. So we'll have to keep our eyes and ears on him to see what he has to say. Tuesday, Intel is also announcing their fourth generation Xeon processor, so that could have an effect on their stocks. So Intel will be something to worth a good watch on Tuesday. And then, of course, the big day is Thursday, where we have CPI data. This is going to be one of the final data points before the next Fed meeting in February. We got a few more weeks until that occurs, but this is a main data point that we'll be keeping an eye on. Also on Thursday, NVIDIA, that could be a mover on Thursday. They are speaking at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. And then, of course, Friday, banks are kicking off the earnings season. You have Bank of America, Citigroup, you got JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. All those guys are reporting earnings on Friday to kick things off. I think there's also a few random ones like United Healthcare and Delta who are also reporting on Friday. I think Bank of America is going to be a good one. They have a pretty good PE ratio, and I think they also got a few positive notes. So I think that one's definitely going to be a pretty interesting one, to say the least. So I'm definitely watching BAC. I'm of course watching JP Morgan, just from a technical standpoint. JP Morgan looks pretty darn good, and we'll kind of we'll take a brief moment of that. But yeah, a big week ahead as far as the data goes. We got earnings kicking off, so yeah, we got a lot to kind of stay focused on. Moving into the market itself. Okay, we got the SPY chart pulled up here. You can see, I mean, clearly we were stuck in this range for 2-3 weeks, 13 14 trading days. I mean, it was a long time. We finally got a move and broke above the range on Friday, and that was after a pretty interesting jobs report. Non-farm payrolls decreased slightly from November's revised print. Wage growth is finally starting to see a slowdown. Um, Jeffries tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's going to be some interesting stuff for next week for sure. Uh, but yeah, so we had a nice move out of the range finally, but we got to remember it's just one day. It's just one. This is a nice first step for the Bulls. The second step here that we need to really focus in on is clearing this daily 50. This is that blue line. It's right at 389.63, 390. Once we clear 390, sure, your next leg is going to be about 395. From 395, you get the daily 200. That's going to be at about 398, 400 zone. So those are going to be my key levels there on the SPY. Now, what you on the inverse thing of that, we don't want the SPY to break back down below this 380, 379 mark is what I have here. If we happen to break back down below Friday's lows, it can get messy. It can get messy real quick. Now, it is interesting enough to state that the weekly, if you take a look at your weekly chart there on and you pull up the TTM squeeze, you'll notice that the it is starting to flip a little bit more positive. That could be a good thing. So if that does want to take shape, and for instance, say if CPI on Thursday does come in a little cool, which honestly I'm expecting it to come in a little cool on Thursday, and that's just mainly basing it off of oil. Uh, Oil's been cooling down a good bit. Same with natural gas, and oil does have a pretty big impact on the CPI numbers. So I'm thinking CPI comes in a little cool. That could slingshot things to the upside. And really, we've been kind of talking about that if there is a potential short squeeze rally here and we get some shorts to become very uncomfortable and they close their position, that creates more buying pressure and then off we go. That could give us that leg higher to push towards this 400 level, and then we'll just have to reevaluate uh, from there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Of course, we could just come back into the range and see what happens there. But really, we need the market bulls to come back and take care of business at this daily 50. So yeah, above 390, get to 395, then to 400. If we go back below 380, 379, that's bad news bulls, and the bears can take back over from there, and we push on lower. Moving on to the QQQ tech, it's not as pretty here. I mean, we're still in a range here as far as the Qs go. 270.50, as you can see, here's this level. Watching this one pretty closely. If we do get some kind of movement off of that level, yeah, it's just not as nice here as compared to the SPY or the IWM, and especially not the Dow. Qs did a good job at holding 262. Give it to the market bulls to really hang on to those levels. They do have some catch up, and they could outperform the market. So we definitely want to be kind of mindful of that. And that's what we've been saying, that if we do get a nice little short squeeze rally, then tech does have the opportunity to outperform. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that. I'm watching for the break above 270.50. Once we get above 270.50, my next level is going to be about 277 to 278. However, if we do crack below 262 to 260 zone, that's definitely, that's when, we really just got to load back up on puts and send it back down. So, yeah. Now, once we do, if the market bulls can happen to push above 270.50, get us to this daily 50. Once we get above the daily 50, it does get a little bit more interesting from there. I'm pretty much looking at a move back up to this 300, 297, 300 zone up to this daily 200. But yeah, like I said, we'll have to reevaluate if we do get back above the daily 50. But the bulls got some work to do here as far as the Qs. Everything else, as far as everything else goes, I mean, compare it to the Dow. The Dow is hands down the best looking index out there by far. You had this nice ascending triangle pattern, held the daily 50 where we broke down below, then kind of traded near it. And then on Friday, we got that nice move with everybody else. Now we're looking here to really break above 337.40 and some change to get our next leg lower. We got a little bit of a gap to fill to 340. Once you get to 340, you got room to 345 and 348. But altogether, the Dow looks fantastic. I mean, I know it's like there's 30 names in it, give or take, but the Dow components all look pretty good, and you can definitely see that when you take a look at a sector like XLI. Same situation here. You can even see that ascending triangle pattern marked up here. You're riding the daily 50, and yeah, up you go. You're breaking above 100. XLI names look fantastic. RTX, Honeywell, Boeing. I mean, Boeing's just been. I mean, look at this move. I mean, this is just absolutely rip roar tear. You couldn't ask for a prettier move than that. I mean, you can see where all these key levels that I've had marked up. We've been trading it here in the Discord for a while too. So, Boeing, fantastic. Let's see. Let's go to the IWM before we dive in too deep there. The IWM, yeah, it's still not as great as the Dow or the SPY. In my opinion, this is right there along with the Qs. Small caps, you get a little bit of resistance zone at this 178, 180 zone is forming a good base. The Bulls have done a good job holding this one as well. If it does break below 172, 170, I'm not as much of a fan here at all. Of course, if it does break Friday's low, I think that'll be a telltale sign. Other than that, IWM, I'm probably not going to be playing here too much. I think my focus is mainly going to be on the other indices such as SPY, Big Tech, especially on Apple. Apple does have this nice bottom pattern here, trying to reverse up. I wouldn't say bottom, but just a reversal pattern here, trying to set up above 130, 131, trying to tackle on. But same thing with Tesla. You can get that same picture there with Tesla, that we could have a reversal situation setting up. And of course, we know that when Tesla does move, it moves pretty big. And so I'm kind of watching this Tesla above 115 to push towards 120, 120, and then you get 125. Tesla does like those $5 increments. So those are just easy to remember there if you are day trading Tesla or trying to swing these positions overnight. But just remember, as far as the backdrop goes, we still got some work to do as far as the bull case goes. One of my most favorite sectors, of course, is China, and this is the K Web. This is the China Internet ETF. Looks fantastic. We've been playing this one for a while. A few of the play callers have been knocking this one out of the park. Of course, in this, you got Baba. I mean, Baba's just been absolutely fantastic above the daily 200. And one thing with PDD. Now, I know these aren't necessarily names I'm looking forward to next week. I mean, I want to be paying attention to them, but depending on how things go, PDD, we might get a continuation above 97. I like PDD above 97 for a move towards 100. I'm already exposed in KWeb. I also like FXI. This is your large cap China ETF. Same situation, similar boat here. You got some room all the way over to about that 32 mark on the FXI. Moving on real quick to the dollar, because we do want to be mindful about what the dollar is doing. We do have a possible bull trap here for the US dollar. You can see that they tried it so hard to push things up on Friday, only to fail, reversed, and pretty much engulfed the prior day. So this is definitely bullish for equities. If this can break below this 103.50 mark, I think it has a good shot to send it all the way back down to at least 100. That'll be a psychological level. And then 97.50, which is also a potential support zone there. So we definitely want to keep a close eye on the dollar dynamics and see what they want to do from there. Yeah, 100 is definitely going to be a key spot here if we do lose. You can see that we've already lost the weekly 50. Um, it definitely can be a tailwind for risk on assets. So definitely, and also emerging markets. Keep that in mind too. If you have any kind of trades that you like, as far as that are non-US, of course. Let's go on to crude oil. Let's see, let that load up. Now it's still, this is a weekly chart here. It's still looking relatively weak. I mean, it's trying to base out at 71. Below 71, we can easily see this weekly 200 here. Um, I'm willing to wait probably just a little bit longer to be involved. But things are, you know, I just want to see it firm up a little bit more. If you take a look at the daily chart here, let's let that load up for a second. Cat, yeah, I like cat, man. Yeah, we'll take a look at that in just a second. Oil, as you can see, we're still trading below the daily 50. We're below the daily 200, so that just means that we're below the equator. Um, yeah, I just there's a lot left to be desired here as far as crude oil goes. Moving on to nat gas, if you haven't been paying attention, natural gas has just been absolutely obliterated since we lost that 530 mark. We couldn't get above 730. This was a key level that we had marked several weeks ago, and we could just never break this spot here. And down we went. You had the 50 cross down below the daily 200, and nothing too good ever happens when you get below the daily 200 and the daily 50. So down we went. Yeah, you lost four. Let's see, where's this weekly 200? Okay, so you're trying to base out here at the weekly 200. I think more is left to be seen here. Yeah, I think it can possibly move lower. I mean, it could try to form up a base right here at the weekly 200, but yeah, nat gas, it's hard to it's very hard to be bullish right here. I mean, you can try it, but I'm not putting anything there. Let's see. Let's move on to copper from here. Now, copper, I mean, this chart looks great. This is probably the best copper has looked in quite some time, which is also good for risk on assets here. Looking for a move above 4. If we can get a move above 4, then it's looking extremely bullish, and this is going to be on a pretty high watch for me as far as copper goes and taking on some kind of bullish trades. But I definitely would like to see copper get above that $4 mark here. You can see this on the weekly chart. Once we get above 4, that's the weekly 50. We could get a move towards 430 and so on, 450. We've already seen some individual copper names make their own individual moves, such as SCCO, Southern Copper. I mean, this move here above 65 was just incredible. On Friday, you had this nice little basing out pattern at 59, and you've just really skyrocketed from there. Now you get this trying to hold this spot here at about 68. Once you get above 68, yeah, we got plenty of room to 71. So I definitely really like the look of SCCO. FCX, also another copper name. Same pattern, same situation here. 4350 is going to be another tough spot here, but you got this nice little bottoming pattern here. On the daily 50, you had the 50 cross back above the daily 200, and since then we've just been kind of blasting off. So if copper futures, if they can crack above this 400 level and maintain above it, then I am definitely all for it. No doubt about that. Bitcoin, I'm not interested in it. Don't care. Still want to see. Now that doesn't mean you don't have to play it. That just means I'm not playing it because I think this thing can go lower. I want it to go lower. Waiting for Tether to blow up. We keep seeing all these different exchanges, crypto names just absolutely blowing up. They're suing each other. The SEC is getting involved. I don't want no part of it. Let this thing. Sure, it's right here at the daily 50. Last time it hit the daily 50, it rejected and came back in. I'd like to pick some up around the 6K mark, maybe even lower. But as for me and my house, I will not partake in Bitcoin. The 10-year, 2-year Treasury yields continue to be inversed. That is something to, of course, have in the back of your mind. Nothing good ever happens when that is the case. Volatility, VIX continues to be in favor for the bulls. We have yet to, we haven't cracked above the daily 50 in quite some time now. So you might have some support down here at 20, but I'm not holding my breath here. The VIX volatility is making lower lows here. So I mean, this is a brand new low there on the VIX. But yeah, that's pretty it. Uh, there still it seems to be a lot of volatility and illiquidity out there that does cut both ways. Key thing really continues to be don't be complacent. Know your setups, know your trades, trade your plan. Have those key levels. I've been showing these on the main indices here on the SPY, the QQQ, IWM. Have those marked out and let that be your guide. Don't shut out all the noise and just play your levels. Once you have your key levels up, it makes trading a lot easier. And especially if you're a swing trader, if you're a long-term investor, it can help. But as far as long-term investing, your long-term or dollar cost averaging, I always tell people when they're doing long-term investing, have at least 3 spots or so where you want to possibly dollar cost average. And right now, this is a good market to have a nice shopping list written out and prepared to start to buy. But remember, we don't want to fight the Fed. Let's see here. Let's move on to the sectors. I know I got a few questions here. Jeffrey's tomorrow indicator for big banks. Yeah, I mean, we could definitely pay attention to that. JEF, big move here, and then kind of steady through there. But I like Bank of America. Like I said, they got a good PE ratio right now. They got a lot of good things going. Strangely, uh, I like it a lot better above 38, and I definitely like it a little bit better above the daily 50. We do have this 200 crossing below the 50, but it's a little sideways. Um, so there are some things, technically speaking, to be desired here. I wouldn't say I'm overly excited about this. I'm definitely paying attention to Bank of America, but I like it above 35, and I like it a lot above 38.75. Same thing here with JP Morgan. We have calls here looking for this move above. We got our first move above 137. Now we're looking for our move above 138, 139. And once we get that move, sure, we can hit 140, and then 140 gives us 143. So there is some pretty good room to the upside. And JP Morgan is one of the better looking banks. I also love Berkshire. Berkshire, another one. I absolutely love the look of this move. You got this nice resistance level at 319 and a quarter. If you can clear this level here on Berkshire, then yeah, we can get to a pretty good move here up to about that 327 mark. Yeah, nice little pattern here. We're holding the daily 50. Structure looks good. Momentum's looking better. Would like to see a little bit of volume here, but other than that, it's not too bad. You also got Citigroup earnings, of course. Really not my favorite. But yeah, Berkshire, JP Morgan, they all look good. But if you look at the sector itself, the XLF, it's it's okay. It's not my favorite sector altogether. I mean, you are holding above the daily 50 and the daily 200, so things are good from there. But I think much is left to be desired as far as things go. Uh, XLI though, yeah, this looks incredible. Like I said, a lot of Dow components in the XLI, and you got names like Cat. I mean, Cat. This is an all-time high breakout and closed in the all-time high territory. Yeah, it looks fantastic. Uh, just a bit shy at 250. Um, but yeah, as far as my targets go on CAD, if you really want to do things there, I like to do my Fibonacci extensions and just kind of go from there. And we can pretty much just, I know this is going to look weird, but 267 will be my third target here. 250, 260, 260 will be my first target. I guess you could just put it right here and do it like this. Oops. There we go. That's not what I wanted to do. Sometimes when you have this the magnet turned on, it makes it a little bit tricky. There we go. So there you go. 267, 260. Those will be my targets on cat to the upside. Of course, once you do uh, get these pushes, you always want to raise your stops as you go. Don't let the red trade go. Don't let a green trade go red, especially when you have these breakout names. I know right now breakout names are a little bit tricky, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. It just makes it a little bit harder because the overall market pressure has been to the downside. But we do get names like this that are breaking out into new all-time highs. We definitely got ELF Beauty. This one's in all-time high territory. You also have uh, Aflac, which quack. We do have this nice little move here into all-time high territory at 74. These are the weekly charts here. You got plenty of room to work with. Yeah, Aflac looks fantastic. This continues to be impressive. TJX, another position that we got long on. Nice breakout. We held it during the close. Room to 85, maybe even further here on TJX, TJ Maxx. Yeah, looks great there. Merck continues to be impressive. I mean, this Merck has been on an absolute tear for quite some time, and I believe Professor has been rocking and rolling Merck for a while. You had this nice little compression, nice little Darvis box here between 108 and 112. Now you're up here at the 115. Targets are probably going to be upwards of about 118, 120 on Merck. So yeah, there's names out there that are breaking into new highs and just ripping. You just gotta search for them. They're not too hard to scan for. If you need some scans, just let me know, and I'll be sure to get those for you. Let's go take a peek at the XLE real quick here on the XLE. Same thing. You got a nice little Darvis box, and this is kind of what I was talking about, the oil and nat gas, with both of them not really shaping up. There's a lot left to be desired here. You know, we tried to get the push above 88. Of course, that can change. Maybe tomorrow this thing just blasts off and we get a move to 91.50. That'd be great. I'm not going to argue against it, and there are names that I'm looking here in this sector that I would like to see kind of pop off. But you can see that we have this nice little range between 88 and 82. We did reject the daily 50 at the upper end of that range. We could very well come down to the bottom and retest support here at 82.68. Now, if we do lose those lows, then yeah, we can come down much further, but above 88, I like it. I like it to the long side towards 91.50. There are some good names here. I like ZOM. ExxonMobil is probably one of the favorites here. We did get a nice little move to 112 zone. We rejected 112. Now, if we can get back above 112, sure, we can retest the highs at 114.66. Let's see. We also have Schlumberger. Schlumberger continuously looks really healthy. Needs to clear 55, 56 zone. Once you get into that, then you're pretty much, you're blessed at that point. You're holding the daily 50 for now. I do not like it below 50 or below the daily 50. It gets a little bit messy, maybe some air pockets here below 50, and then of course 46 and the daily 200. So once again, levels, just mark them on your charts, let them speak to you, set alerts as you go. Above 55, 56, I like it. Below 50, I do not like it. So we'll kind of pay attention to that. Also like PSX, Philip Morris 66. You had this nice little move above this zone here, above 104.75, 105. Got a good close above it. So now we do have some wiggle room here to 108. So looking pretty decent here on Philip Morris. Option chain on Philip Morris is not as exciting as some of these others. We know Warren Buffett's involved in Oxy, but Oxy has problems from a technical standpoint. Now, of course, if you're long-term investing and all that, totally different story. I'm just looking at a smaller nugget time frame here, not looking at any kind of fundamentals. I'm just looking at pure price action charting. Uh, if I were to take one between Oxy and Zom or PSX or Schlumberger, I'd be looking at those guys. I wouldn't be looking at Oxy. If anything on Oxy, I'd be looking for a short just because it's below the daily 200 and it's relatively weak in general. We could get a move back here to 59.70, but we'll see. You know, I've been proven wrong. If I wanted to try it, I'd try it above 65, above 65 to try to hit this daily 50 mark here, this blue line. But other than that, Zom, PSX, those look a lot better. And definitely Schlumberger. Schlumberger looks fantastic. Moving on to materials, the XME. We talked about copper for just a moment ago. As far as the materials goes, they had this nice little zone here between 49 and 51. You have this nice breakout move here above the daily 50, crossing above the daily 200. We still got some room here to 53 and 54. Those are going to be your next target zones there. Overall, pretty good. Nice volume here on Friday as well. Now, X, it's a little, excuse me, X is, probably one of your lagging names out here, but in the words of X, going to give it to you. Looking for a move here to 27.43. I don't like it below 24, below this daily 50 here. So got a nice little zone here. Once we do get above 27, yeah, I'm looking for an overall move towards 30. So we'll see. We know STLD has been a pretty good name here. It's a little bit structurally more sound. Uh, yeah, overall, I like it above 106 for a move back to the all-time highs. So materials not too shabby of a sector here. I definitely will probably focus a lot on the XLI names, such as UPS, CAT all-time highs. I like Boeing, of course, and Honeywell. All these guys look pretty good here, but Boeing definitely very impressive here. Let's see, we already talked about financials. Let's talk about the XLY. Now, the XLY is definitely going to be skewed mainly because of Amazon and Tesla. Booze, I see you asking that question about Tesla. That's why I was trying to get to the XLY here. Amazon, sure, it does have this possible reversal pattern trying to form up, and you got this nice little hammer candle. Excuse the lines here. Let me kind of clear these up here, and I can just clear the drawing set. That's fine. Whoops. Let's go back here. All right, so there you go. Here is your chart on Amazon. So you had a nice little inside hammer. It was a little outside. Inside, excuse me, hammer candle on the weekly. So hammer. But yeah, you still got this nice print, nice close above the last week's high. And yeah, this could be very well setting up for some kind of reversal pattern. So watching Amazon this week for sure. Same thing goes with Tesla. Little less clean, but nonetheless, I like Tesla above 115 to 118, then 125, and then from there you can get some pretty big moves there on Tesla. But I like this bullish engulfing candle. Would like to see some continuation and some follow through. Tesla volume recently is super high. Yeah, I mean, we all know that Tesla's been absolutely been getting pummeled. This is just pure liquidation. Some fund is getting absolutely clapped. We knew that Elon was selling quite a bit. He said he's done selling until next year. He just needs some backup plans, I guess. Something hits the fan. But yeah, this is just straight up capitulation. We've seen it. We've seen these kind of moves as of lately, especially when Apple lost 129 up here. It collapsed not as hard. Not to say that Apple can't come down further. It certainly can. But yeah, the volume on Tesla has been absolutely huge, and that's just because there's also been a lot of day trading, options day trading on Tesla for sure. We haven't really been seeing a lot of longer dated options being traded here on Tesla. So it's all shorter dated focused. So I like it above 115 for that move to 120 or 118, 120, then 125, and so on. If we do get a good short squeeze rally and say the CPI comes in cool, like, I'm personally kind of expecting it to be, then you're going to have the tech guys and you're going to have names like Tesla, all these beat up guys outperform. So I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on Tesla, on Amazon. Now, if we crack below Friday's low, yeah, toss all that out the window. This thing's going much further down. Uh, and don't try to be a bottom feeder. I mean, people were saying that the bottom was in up here at 200. People were saying that the bottom was in down here at like 180, 160, 150. I mean, don't listen to any of that crap. Just play your levels and play them accordingly. Like, I mean, who cares if you buy the bottom or the top anyway? I mean, just trade what's in front of you and you'll be good. Uh, yeah. Yeah, I don't like it below Friday's low. That's for darn sure there on Tesla. XLK, of course, beat up sector. Very unimpressive, like the XLI. As far as the XLI or XLK goes, excuse me. Like I said, I like Apple. You do have this reversal pattern forming. I would like to see it clear 130. Once we clear 130, could get some good get some pretty good moves. They're also like Nvidia for a possible move to the upside. Zoom in here. I need it to clear 151. Once we clear 151 on Nvidia, you get a move to 154. Now, Nvidia does have that conference at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference on Thursday. That is an all-day event. Could be something we're trading, but of course, we also have CPI on Thursday as well. So either way, could definitely be a pretty good candidate throughout the week, nonetheless, especially if we do trade above 151. Let's see here. Moving on to AVGO, semiconductors in general. You really need to see the semiconductors to push higher because nowadays with technology and all that, what doesn't have microchips in them? You're going to need to see the semiconductors for tech you need to see the semiconductors rally in order to see the Qs rally themselves. But Broadcom, fantastic day on Friday. I mean, this thing opened up at 563 and closed at 588. So big move here on Broadcom. Now you can see there is a little bit of resistance level here at 590, 591. Once you clear that level, sure, we can really go towards 600. 610 is going to be the next spots there. But overall, good stuff on Broadcom. Also, like Visa. Visa needs to clear this candle here at about 219 for a move to 224. I definitely don't like Visa below 203.50. Below 203.50, you got 194.75. And as you can tell, I mean, that's pretty much all I'm doing right now is just marking these levels. They're clean cut. They've been easy to trade as of late. Let's see here. Actually, they're just easy to trade in general, not just now, but you get the point. Let's see, XLC. This one's kind of interesting. The XLC, XLC led the way to the downside, but this is showing signs of bottoming. I mean, you have a higher low here on the XLC. We've seen guys like Meta trade higher. Disney has been putting in a nice move. Netflix has also been putting in a good move. And of all things, AT&T, big move here on Friday. It cleared this big resistance level here at 1940 and pushed up to almost 20. I mean, it was having a really impressive day on Friday. Now you do have this nice little gap here to fill towards 2048. I think that could be something to pay attention to. It could take some time. Big gaps do tend to take a while to fill, but 2050, 2048 is going to be your full gap fill there on AT&T. CMCSA Comcast. Everybody hates them, but the chart's looking pretty interesting. Right here at the daily 200, we'll see if we can get some movement there, but I'm not too much watching Comcast as much as I am with Meta. We did have this nice little move here above 124. We got to push towards 130. It held fantastic on this 112.50 mark. You had this other support zone here at 108. Held that. Now we're pretty much gearing up for a push towards 138.35. That's going to be my next spot here on Meta. I like it a lot. I don't like it below Friday's low. Once you get back into this range here, below 124 and a 50, yeah, you're back in that range. We don't want that. So Meta looking for continuation up towards 138.35. DD Bull Flag falling. Do you concur? I should have concurred. What was that movie? That was Catch Me If You Can. You know, when he's playing a doctor and he's like, "Do you concur?" I should have concurred. DD, yeah, beautiful move here on DuPont. Nice little hook here, holding the daily 50, breaking out above 72. I love this move. Room to 75, 75 to 78. Those are so T1, 75, T2, 78, and some change. Good stuff here on DD. Thank you, Booze, for pointing that one out. I'm going to watch that as well. Here's your weekly chart. Yeah, nice bull flag. Look at that. That's good stuff. There's your pull. There's your breakout. You can do a measured move here on that. So let's say this is the start of your flagpole. There's your higher end. You're looking for a measured move all the way up to 86 and some change as far as that one goes. Let's measure it a little bit differently because I like to do both personally. 80 and 89. Wow. Yeah, DuPont. That could be pretty good. Not the best family history. I don't know if you've ever read the DuPont family history. It's quite scandalous. But yeah, Booze, good chart there. 72 to 75, 75 to 78, 78 to 80 and beyond. I should have concurred. Let's see. Let's now go look at the XLP. Oh, well, my main point there about the XLC is that this is your bottom of the barrel stuff, quote unquote. This is showing signs of bottoming, and you can see that with this weekly chart. Push to 52. Once you get to 52, you're pretty much looking for that move to the weekly 50 there, that blue line. Let's go ahead and put a level there as well. 56. I like it. Not too bad at all. So communication sector looking pretty good. XLU, I'm going to stay away from XLU names mainly because of nat gas and all that. XLV healthcare, not too shabby. I like it. I like you. Okay. 137. Above 137 can definitely get to moving. You got a little bit of a gap fill at 137.50. I like names like AbbVie. Nice chart here on AbbVie. Once you clear 167 resistance, you're at 170.50. Now, of course, we can just bonk down and come back in to 160. Once you lose 160, 157.70. Let's see. I like Johnson & Johnson. Same thing. Just draw your levels here. 181.04. Once you crack 181 there, room to 183 looks pretty clean, and then 186. If we lose Friday's low there, sure, we can come back in. I don't particularly care for it below 178. Then if we lose 178, I pretty much expect this to retest the daily 50. Let's see. We got, who else is XLV? Is that the only two I had? AbbVie. Oh yeah, we talked about Merck all-time highs. UNH. Now this one's just beat up. I mean, it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like well over 10 tries. Well over 10 tries to push above 553, 558 into new all-time high territory. These guys have absolutely gotten smacked back all the way down into support at 487. So we had almost a 100-point move from the highs all the way back down to support. So if we lose support, we can come all the way back down to 448. Um, there's two ways to trade this. You can, of course, play the short below this 487 mark, or you can try to play the bounce and try to swing it back up to the upper end of the range. Um, to me, it looks better as a short. Now, you do have earnings coming up on the 12th. Be sure to keep that in mind. Probably just wait till after earnings to see what happens. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff here as far as the XLV goes. UNH is a pretty big holder, but you got guys like AbbVie that look fantastic. You do got dividend. Ooh, they have a $1.48 dividend on the 12th. That's nice. Let's see here. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about the XLY. As far as the XLY goes, I like Nike. I definitely like Starbucks. Starbucks above 107 looks pretty good to 110. Let's see here. TJX, we talked about TJX. Booking BKNG. Nice little push here above 2160. Next spot here on Booking 2208, and then you get a gap fill to 2276, and then a nice little move to 2393. So overall, nice little move. Looks like the 50 is just about to cross back above the daily 200. So all in all, I mean, there's some really good stuff out there that are not big tech. If you are too overly exposed in big tech, start to broaden out your horizons. Look at a few other things. If we take a look at the RSP is the equal weighted S&P 500, and this will show you a little bit better structure than the SPY. You can see that the RSP, you're getting that daily 50 crossing back over the daily 200. You have that ascending triangle pattern that looks very similar to the Dow. Looking pretty good here. So the RSP, this is your equal weight S&P 500. So it just puts everybody in a nice little pool here, and it's everybody's equal. Apple doesn't have a 2 trillion market cap in here like it does in the SPY and all that. So if we take a look at the SPY here yet again and compare that to the RSP, and kind of see RSP looks a lot better. So there's a lot of things other than the big boys that look really good, really healthy. Market breadth has been improving over the time. So things out there are looking pretty good. Booze asks if a stock hits a resistance level a bunch of times and fails, does it tell you it's more likely to reject again? Yeah, if a stock is coming up to resistance, just constantly gets hammered down, sure, I'd like to play that and try to knock it back down too. Reminds me of a Best Buy. I may have to zoom out here. Yeah, zoom out. Let's go to 2 years. I think Best Buy is a really good example of this. Okay, let's go back longer than that. 3 years. You can kind of see where I'm going. All right, so here you go. Look at Best Buy. Best Buy had this huge annoying problem with trying to clear 120 to 125. There's this nasty zone here on Best Buy that every time it came up to 120, 125, it just went lower. So there's your move to 125, moved lower, back up, moved lower, back up, big move lower, back up, bigger move lower, back up, just kind of trickle down, big up. Got a little bit of a shakeout here, but we moved lower, traded sideways, came back up, moved way lower. And then you finally get this crazy move above 125. You hit 140. Finally, people were like, okay, this is enough. You had earnings and you got down. And since then, you've kind of just moved lower from there. But yeah, Best Buy is a great example for these key levels up here at the top end. And it just keeps rejecting. Remember, support is support until it isn't. Resistance is resistance until it isn't. In this case, resistance. Okay, now we break. So that's kind of how I view that. But I mean, yeah, there's always different ways to trade these moves. Case in point, if you take a look at DuPont, 72 has been pretty good resistance over the past few months, and finally you're cracking above it. Yeah, so I mean, you can play the breakout, or you can try to play the short back down into support, just like UNH. You're coming right back down to this support level. If it breaks, you can see that air pocket. I mean, there's not much support here up until you get to this 448. Yeah, you see that here on the weekly chart. Here's your key level here at 490, 488. If you lose that, not much until you hit that 450, 448 mark. But you can also try to play the bounce, and you just got to decide, is it easier to play the bounce? At least here with this level at 448, you have a clean cut stop. Now, everybody and their mother is going to be watching that line, so you got to watch out for being stop hunted. Have a stop at like 1 ATR or so, depending on how you want to play it, and kind of go from there. But all right, I think that covers. I hope that answers your question there, Boost. But yeah, there's always two ways to trade those zones like that. There's a good book, Darvis, How I Made $2 Million in the Stock Market. Definitely give that a read if you haven't. Yeah, that's a pretty much a classic. You'll see Professor talk about Darvis boxes a lot. All right. Yeah, it is. It's like always. If this then that mentality. If this level holds, then I'll go long. If this level doesn't hold, I'll go short. And play it like that. That's always have a plan for both scenarios. Stocks, they either go up or they go down. I mean, they can go sideways, but have your levels there. Let's see here. Let's see. But yeah, okay, so busy week ahead. Consumer inflation expectations on Monday. Wholesale inventories and Powell speaks on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have 10-year bond auction, CPI and unemployment on Thursday. Friday, consumer sentiment. And then next week, we got PPI, retail, Empire Statement, and new index. Yeah, man. Yeah, any questions like that, just holler. Yeah, there's always more than one way to. There's plenty of ways to play the market. You can play those levels and to your best ability. But overall, if we take a peek here at SPY, let's see. I appreciate y'all coming out on social media too for all those. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Yeah, let's see. 385 needs to hold. Sorry, 385 needs to hold on the SPY. Break above 390 for 395, 395 to 400. I don't like it below 380, and I definitely don't like it below Friday's lows. Clean cut and simple. Plenty of things going on. We got bank earnings on Friday. Jeffries, like Booze, like Penny Pincher said, tomorrow could kind of pave the way. Let's see. Qs need to get above 270.50. The Dow, very impressive stuff here on the Dow. Lots of good names running here within the Dow component. About 337.40, we get that continuation to the upside. But all right, any questions at all? I know I covered a lot there. If I need to go back, just let me know and I'll be sure. So XLE, looking at ZOM, Schlumberger, PSX. Materials, I'm looking at X, even though it is a little bit laggy. I definitely like the setup there. XLI, I like CAT, I like BA. XLF, I like Berkshire, I like JP Morgan, I like Bank of America. XLK, if we do get a run up, I definitely like Apple, Nvidia, Visa, communication sector, Google, Meta, T-Mobile. T-Mobile's a good one. XLP, I know we didn't cover XLP too much, but just a brief look. I like Procter & Gamble above 154.65. You got that same situation here. Looks great above 154.65. Doesn't look great below 149. You still got that daily 50 crossing over the daily 200. Let's see, room to 156. It is a little bit boring, a little bit slower moving, but still a good move nonetheless. And of course, you can always just raise your stops as you go along. Mandalay, not too shabby here. If it can break above 68 and push towards 69 and some change. Philip Morris, smoke them if you got them. I like it above 104, 105. to push higher there. So XLP, not too shabby, not too shabby by any means. Now, XLP looks great above 76, room to 77, but very good. Awesome stuff. Appreciate y'all's questions, and I appreciate you showing me DD there, Booze. We'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, Thursday, big day, CPI. I appreciate y'all hanging out. I concur. Yeah, smart man, he concurred. Good deal. All right. Well, we are right here at 10 o'clock. I like to keep things under an hour. So I appreciate y'all coming out, hanging out with me. I know it's Sunday. Last few hours to kind of spend with the folks before everybody goes back to school and back to work and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, we'll be here live trading as always on Monday or tomorrow, and we'll just keep it going. I appreciate y'all so much, guys, on social media. I appreciate y'all coming in and hanging out as well. I hope you got something out of it. If you have any questions at all, feel free to let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer anything that you may have. But all right, have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning in the trading floor. All right, guys, peace out. Have a good night.